Well, welcome back, and thanks for joining me again tonight. I really appreciate all the people that continue to keep watching. Tonight's gonna be a pretty hard one for me, I guess, if you want to say it that way. Uh, I've had a pretty rough couple days. I'm not complaining. I'm just being open with you guys. It's been challenging. Um, Mixture of feelings coming in and out. Uh, kind of down in the dumps a little bit. My mind's going 100 miles an hour. Uh, I don't know. Just feel, I don't know, off, I guess you could say, the past couple of days. And I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to go about this episode. And I had a whole nother subject planned of what I was going to talk about. And then about 2 hours ago, I was reading in Proverbs, and something came across my mind, and I felt very convicted just to speak on that. Tonight I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the struggle, the weight, I guess you could say, of obedience. See, so for me, that was the hardest part. And I've told you guys a couple times in the episodes before, I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be controlled, I guess you could say. It's hard for me. I like to buck the system, right? And constantly every day, I get reminded of stuff that, um, because of the path that I'm going and the things that I'm changing in my life, the things I'm doing different, they require obedience. And sometimes the things that I'm asking to be obedient about, I don't like it. It's hard, it's heavy, it's very, very heavy. And I struggle. I'm struggling with it. And this is pretty much the hardest part of it, I guess you could say. Because think about it. I mean, after the moment ended, when I was all excited and I gave my life to Christ and I chose to follow Him. That moment ended, but the weight didn't. The feeling inside me, I've been hearing people talk about the past 9 episodes. Some people say it was good, some people say it was bad, some people connected with it. Some people really didn't have much to say. Um, some people like it for one reason or another. But everyone seems to be talking about it on my feed and my comments and my DMs. But see, there's one thing that I think is being left out that no one's really talking about, including me. Um, and that's what I want tonight to be. It's called, the weight of obedience. And what happens when I decided to be obedient? What happens after God moves and starts to work in my life? What happens after I say yes? And what happens after the big moment? The relief and that. You know, it's not it's hard to say that I walked away proud. I don't know if I want to call it feeling accomplished, but I know I walked away from that and from that time, that decision, feeling responsible. Responsibility is big, and that's the responsibility of obedience, and that's what I'm talking about tonight. For a long time, I thought obedience would give me peace, right? It would give me um, a sense of ease, like a warm, cozy, everything's gonna be okay. But what I really learned is that obedience feels heavier than disobedience at some points, And, only because now, listen, follow me here, because, disobedience, I knew that. It was familiar to me. It let me stay the same. It let me feel comfortable, right? Obedience is not. It's it requires movement. It requires change. It requires work. And then when God confirms in your life and asks you to confirm it, and I do it. I did it publicly. Um, it was great. Big episodes, and everyone seems to be have different opinions on them. Um, but what I've learned is that it's not the public side of it that's hard, right? It's where it gets hard for me, and when I think that most people give up. As many times as I did, the same thing, I gave up, um, is the private side of it, right? Just a little example here. I remember in youth group, we used to go to these, concerts, conventions, and Choir to Fire, and I'd go there, and we would go with the whole youth group, and we would come back, uh, you know, on fire, and we would get up in front of the church, and we went to the altar, and we changed our life around, and it was this big thing, right? And it was almost like a spectacle. Uh, but when it's not real, it fades away very, very quickly. Okay, and what I mean by that is, as soon as I returned to my regular life after just a few days, and I was around my peers again, right, buddies and this and that, uh, I gave up on that. I quickly went back to my old life because I wasn't rooted, right? So I got the feel good of it, right? But I never applied it to my life. So it's just like it says in the Bible: if you build your house on sand, it'll wash away. If you build your house on a rock, it'll stay. But I was constantly building my relationship with Christ on sand, right? And it was a burst of energy. It was a burst of happiness. And we would go to another convention. We'd come back and do the same thing. And then a couple days later, a couple weeks later, I was back to my old self, right? And it it was a revolving door, whether it be a convention or whether it be a rough weekend, and I ask God to help me. He fixes it, He helps me, but then I forget about it, I go back to my old life. And to me, I couldn't stand the pressure, right? I buckled, and I slowly became the old me again. After every incident, it happened again and again and again. I was on fire, then I was back to my old life. I was on fire, I gave up on it, I went back to my old life. And the sad part of it is, after the excitement died down, after the fire, yeah, I got back to the old events that I used to do, the old things, the old life, and I started to feel. I never felt the weight like I do now, right? Just after every episode, I aired, I put it out. Um, after the comments and the likes go away, or the people talking about it, I've always felt alone in my thoughts. And that's when the weight showed up, because the adrenaline was gone, the energy of the episode, recording it, and then I get done with it, and I'm editing it, Um, just 5, 6, 7, 8 hours goes into one episode here. And, while I'm doing it, I'm all excited, I'm fired up, I record it, and I edit it, and I make my clips, and, I'm getting ready to post it, and I post it. And I'm watching my phone all night. Who's watching it? Who's seeing it? Is it helping somebody? Is it? And it's that feeling, right? That feel good feeling But what happens when that dies down? Well, do I want to keep going? Yeah. Is it easy? No, it's not. Um, this is a labor of love. Um, hours and hours of work go into a little 20-minute session that you guys hear. Um, and I'm not that guy. You ask anybody that knows me, that's not me. That has to be Christ working in me, because I'm not lazy by any means, but I'm also not a sit down for 8 hours and work on one project kind of guy. Put me in the field, let me do physical work. I'll outwork anybody in the field, right? But when it came to the office side of things, or it came to the daily reports that I had to write at night, it took me 15, 20 minutes. I didn't feel like doing it. I hate it. I wouldn't do it. So I would be 4 or 5 days behind, and my GM would call me, Stephanie, or text me, or my dad would text me, hey, we haven't got a log from you in 4 days. I'll get them out at lunchtime. And I would race to do them. I don't remember what I did yet an hour ago, let alone 5 days ago, so I would never be thorough in any of the reports. My point is, the time that I'm putting into this, the effort that I'm putting into this, is just showing my obedience to him, and he's helping me do this. He's helping me, put it that way. Because without him, none of this would even be going on. I couldn't do it. Because now it's different for me. I can't unhear what God's telling me, what I can't unfeel what's happening. And the obedience was, it's no longer an option for me. It's not want to be obedient. I wake up and I read the Bible because I want to, not because I have to. It became a requirement now, and a choice that I make happily every day. But here's what I don't always say aloud to people and stuff, and things that I've had to ask myself. And these are the scary ones, right? So what if I mess up? People are watching me. What if God trusted me and I fail him? What if people believe in something other than what I believe in, and I can't maintain that? What if my obedience costs me more than what I bargained for? Like, so, in another one of them things, well, God, I'll do this, but I don't want to do this, right? And we bargain with him. We make a deal. Well, I'll do this if you don't make me do this. But he says, this is what I require. And if you want to be my child, there's things that get heavy, that get hard. And that's when you separate the feel goods and the happiness of everything, to where you transition over to the things now that are coming up in your life that you don't want to deal with. And the awareness now in your head of the heaviness of everything. And the big thing for me is there's a difference now. Now, hear me very closely here. There's a difference between being used by God and being chosen by God. Okay? Being used by Him is just a moment, right? It's you see somebody and you want to bless them, so you buy them, you pay for their meal, right? Or, someone is a little bit down on their luck and you give them some help or whatever. It's just a moment, right? That's a quick in and out type thing, okay? But don't devalue it. It's still value, okay? It's still something that we need to do, correct? Being chosen is a process. It's not a moment. It's a whole big thing. The moments are loud. The process is very quiet, though, okay? The moments, that's the thing. The moments, you're helping somebody at a restaurant, everyone sees you. Or maybe you try to keep it quiet, but or, you help someone in your church. It's loud, right? But the process is long, and it's very quiet. It's done inside. It's done between you and Christ. And God didn't just anoint a moment in your life. He knew what he wanted for you. And that's where the responsibility comes in. And with that responsibility comes weight. With that obedience comes weight. And that's the part that I wasn't prepared for. Nobody prepared me for it, right? And the obedience, it, 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 it cost a lot. Not because God took them from me, took things, right? But because my desires started to change, okay? And some friendships I had to do things about, and they didn't survive. Not because we fought, or because I felt like I was better than them. No, it had nothing to do with that. It's because I stopped speaking that language. I started living that life. Like the jokes, they didn't land right, they didn't hit right, they didn't sound right anymore. The conversation felt hollow, right? They felt not on the same level. Like the environment that I used to love started to feel heavy, annoying, like just I didn't belong. And one day, you have to admit, finally, I can't stay here anymore. Whether it be environment, friends, relationships, family, whatever. But see, you don't just walk away because, you know, ah, you walk away because it's different, because you don't enjoy them things anymore, right? Uh, it's not something that you want to be a part of anymore. Relationships, they don't have to end in drama. They just end in distance, right? No fight, no arguments, nothing like that. It's not like that. It's just, it's hard for me. I don't love the things that they love anymore. I still love them, but we aren't aligned anymore, right? There are things that I used to enjoy that I don't anymore, please God. Not everything was sinful, but most of it, but not everything. And not because someone told me you have to stop, right? Nothing to do with that. It's because my appetite changed. I don't crave the things that I used to crave, the places I used to go, the old habits. I don't crave them anymore. The way I used to spend my time, that all changed, right? The things that I once felt like freedom, you know, they're now distractions to me. It's different. They shift. And that's part of the weight that I'm talking about here. And it's not like, so people think, oh, you're giving up on your friend. That's not giving up. It was outgrowing them. It's more of they're not coming with me. I'm not letting them go. They're not coming with me because they chose not to. Okay? And it's my responsibility now to use my light for them to see and not make them feel like abandoned or whatever. It's just my path is getting narrower, right? Um, and after that, so I had to stop and look around, right, and realize that fewer people were walking with me. It wasn't so crowded no more. It wasn't the same. The hardest yes for me has been the private yeses or the private no's or when no one's watching me, right? There's no microphone, there's no audience, there's no camera in front of me. That to me is the hardest part. And because after that, the excuses started sounding a little bit reasonable. Well, I already showed up. I mean, I already said, yeah, I'd go with them to that place. The temptation to coast was there, to relax. Everything's fine. You can look back. No, I can't. Because I'm going forward. And if I look back, I'll lose my way that's ahead of me. And I didn't just leave it behind me. Like, it's not just all of a sudden, no, I grieved. If I didn't want things to change, they have to. So I have to deal with them. If friendships have to be demolished, then I have to deal with that. But that's a version of myself that felt easier to live with, to do it honestly and morally, than to go back and play with the fire, play with the old sins, play with the old me. Yeah, you can go there, you can be around them people, but I couldn't. And that's a decision I had to make. And that's a decision that mattered in my life, right? Obedience hasn't just affected me though. And like I said in many episodes before, my my new path is affecting everybody, right? Because my schedule's changed. Things that I did before, I don't do anymore. My priorities shifted to where I would spend 2 hours on my phone in the morning. Now I open my Bible and I read. And I have to be very careful. Me doing these videos, I have to be very careful what I say because I can't take them back. Once they're out there, they're out there. And that's the part of obedience that's exhausting. Being careful what I say, not living the old me, not going back, being disciplined, making myself accountable to what I do and what I say. Because eyes are on me. Just talked to someone today. We'll see if it sticks this time, is what he told me. I'm okay with that. That's fine with me. I made my bed. I have to sleep in it. Okay? But the reason I left because I was going down a path that only leads to destruction and hell. And trust me, obedience can feel very lonely too. But once God removes the noise and gives me clarity, and then I can hear his voice, and it separates me from everything else, connects me with him. So if you're dealing with some stuff right now that you think that you can't give up or it's going to be hard, leave it to Christ. Because you're never going to do it on your own. Never. You can't. You have to have him in your life. You have to trust him every day. And always remember that anything that comes up, talk to him. I couldn't. You have to start being an example of Christ to let them see. But as Christians, that's a responsibility that we carry. And the strength I need isn't emotional, it's spiritual. And I don't wake up every day feeling motivated or committed or nothing like that. I wake up every day asking God to give me the strength to keep going and do what I've been doing and go down the path that I want to go down. Thank you guys for listening. That's all I got tonight, guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you next episode.